Marvelous. I have nothing else to say. Upon comprehending the entirety of Wayne's plan, Wilhelmina was unreserved in her admiration. You fabricated a non-existent battle plan, sent out spies, manipulated the enemy. Easy to say, but hard to do, as expected of you, Wayne. If it wasn't for my reputation of defeating Martin, I bet it would have been trickier. The two were inside a tent. Outside, the soldiers and the surrendered warriors were sharing a meal. Wayne had fed the tribes under the guise of helping them recover from their fatigue, but he had something else in mind, of course. And your plan now is to take this opportunity to make the two tribes reconcile. You're as crafty as always, Wayne. You're forced to rely on creativity when your kingdom is broke. Even if everything was fine and dandy for the time being, the Hanoi and Eschio would inevitably fight again. If he didn't uproot the deep-seated hostility they held for one another, that was why Wayne planned to have the two become one to make the region more secure. Excuse me, Your Highness. Raklam appeared along with the three soldiers from Hanoi and Eschio. We've come at your request. Yes, relax. Taurus, Chaldea, Zold. It was a dangerous task, but you did well. This is all thanks to you. I'll be sure you're rewarded later. Sir? To be personally complimented and rewarded by the Crown Prince was the greatest honor a soldier could receive. They grinned from ear to ear as they bowed to Wayne deeply. Raklam, I put you through some trouble. A poor reputation will command more fear. I would not have been able to avoid bloodshed if I had been left in charge. Compared to that, this is nothing worth your concern, he assured the prince, even though his opportunity for valor had been snatched away from him. I'll make it up to him eventually, Wayne thought before he turned to the other three. By the way, you're all bachelors, right? What? Well, I am, but... One of them admitted, nodding in confusion. The others followed suit. Any lovers or sweethearts? The three shook their heads, making their bewilderment even more pronounced. Wayne dropped a bomb on them. I see. In that case, this will go quick. What do you think about marrying a girl from the opposing tribe? What? The three spit out, panicked. Wayne went on. I intend to use this chance to reconcile the two groups to prevent this from happening ever again. It'd be quick and easy if we could form familial relations between the tribes. You three will be the trailblazers. No, that's, Didn't you say you'd risk your life for your brethren? Wayne planted a hand on Taurus's shoulder, which means you're prepared to dig your own grave, metaphorically. But that's a whole other story. The trio silently protested with their expressions, which mixed with shock and confusion. Wayne chuckled. Well, no one's forcing you. Just know that based on our royal records, there was a time when the two tribes were united. To assume you can't exist in harmony is nothing more than prejudice. You may go now. Raklam and the soldiers left the tent. Wilhelmina had been watching the situation unfold and spoke up once their footsteps had receded. Wayne, did they actually get along in the past? Of course. I'm sure the records will materialize once I return to the palace. I see. The work of an awful swindler. If being stupid honest would bring wealth to my country, I'd gladly cut off my forked tongue. Wayne responded, chuckling wryly as he stood. Well, I've got a meeting with the tribe leaders now. I can't let foreigners sit in. Sorry. You've gone above and beyond to humor me. I'll behave while I wait, but come back soon. I hate being alone. Then pray the meeting goes well. Wayne waved and exited the tent. The tribe leaders were waiting for him, but that wasn't where he was headed. I've been waiting. Raklam had gone ahead to a tent set up in a slightly removed area. Behind him were countless bundles of weapons. These are the weapons confiscated from both tribes. Good work. The catalyst for this feud was construction along the river, but it had spiraled out of control because of these weapons. If the tribes hadn't gotten a hold of them, the dispatched troops would have resolved this without a hitch. Where in the world did the weapons come from? Wayne intended to find out, but it was sensitive information that needed to be handled with care. This was why he had lied to Wilhelmina and kept her at a distance. From what I can tell, they're new, Raklam continued, but they aren't products of Natra. Let's say they were made abroad. How did they find their way north to Natra? If someone's trying to sell a bunch of weapons in the boonies, their prices would need to be hyper marked down. which meant there had to be a country somewhere with an overabundant supply of weapons. That would be the only way to find a seller who would be okay with such a huge discount. And there were a few reasons for a country to hoard this many weapons other than war. As Racklam's reasoning ran through the back of his mind, Wayne spoke bitterly. "This is bad. Your Highness." Racklam was unnerved by his master's unusual state. Wayne recovered in the next moment and turned to him. "Racklam, get me a pen and some paper. I have a message for Ninim. Start preparing to withdraw the troops. By confiscating their weapons, we've broken the spirit of the tribes. For the time being, we'll leave the negotiation to the magistrate without military presence." "Sir," responded Racklam without missing a beat. Wayne watched him go from the edge of his vision before turning toward the tent where Lowell Mina was waiting. "Thanks for nothing, Lowell Mina." Lowell Mina loved the Empire. She loved it for its diverse array of nations, peoples, cultures, ideologies, and faiths, jumbled together in a disorderly mess. That's why she had devoted her entire life to the Empire. She dreamed of supporting her nation and devoured knowledge with greed. She had no doubt that she would be rewarded if she kept it up, but those dreams were dashed at a certain banquet. The Emperor had quizzed his eldest sons on politics. When his son was unable to respond, the Emperor's mood became sour, dampening the vibe of the entire party. It had been at this point that Lowell Mina offered the correct answer from beside them. The Emperor praised her, and the vassals remarked that they'd expect no less from their imperial princess. The eldest son had turned bright red with embarrassment, but she paid him no mind. For Lowell Mina was more important to become a rock for the Empire as quickly as possible. But from that day forward, the circumstances around her changed. Her time to learn politics became crammed with lessons on poetry and dance. The vassals engaged in national politics kept their distance, and to top it off, she was forced to stop sitting in on the affairs of the imperial court, as she'd been allowed before. That was when it became clear that this was happening according to someone's will. She initially had thought it was the work of her embarrassed elder brother, but that wasn't the case. It was all under the orders of the Emperor. As a father, the Emperor loved Lowell Mina, but he hadn't the slightest intention of naming her his successor, because she was a girl. The Empire was a country that held on to a creative talent over status, and yet the Emperor held on to the belief that women were best served when dolled up and speaking in soft, melodic voices. They were not meant to bear the burden of national politics. But Lowell Mina was jolted to her very core by the events that followed. When she realized that the Emperor's will was unwavering, she began trying to work through the vassals, but not a single one paid any attention to her. They had feared invoking the Emperor's displeasure, or so one might think. In reality, most of the vassals agreed with the Emperor that women shouldn't be involved in government affairs. Even the court ladies agreed it was the unconditional truth. And the most terrifying part of all, they meant her no harm. With good intentions and these beliefs, they were keeping her away from politics, knowing full well she was more than capable. They didn't want her to know the unhappiness that was part and parcel with meddling in these affairs. How could Lowell Mina describe her shock? She wasn't facing a conspiracy of just one or two people, and it wasn't only in the palace, but most of her country that stood in her way. It was a barricade of people who shared this cultural hegemony, and when Lowell Mina found out about this system of beliefs, she realized there was nothing she could do to change it. From then on, she locked herself away in the palace, feeling as though she would suffocate upon looking at her personal library. Knowing that studying was meaningless, she ceased to flip through the pages. She took her frustration out on those around her. She lamented that she was born a girl, but time was relentless and continued to pass without change. One day, her older sister made a proposal. She couldn't stand to see her sister wasting away anymore. What if she went to the military academy for a change of pace? Lowell Mina agreed, a scheme that she would attend under the pretext of scoping out potential suitors. Of course, no one from the imperial family could choose their own marriage partners, but even the Emperor must have been concerned about his beloved daughter. With her sister's support, it was a done deal. She would lie about her social status upon entering the academy. There were plenty of reasons for this, but the true motive was that if she wasn't herself, Lowell Mina could at last escape this feeling of asphyxiation, which led to her meeting Wayne, the final painting is here. Strang was carrying a canvas into the room. It was a piece by a famous artist. Its value was enough to cause the hands of those who knew its name to tremble just by holding its frame. But Strang and Wayne were handling it without care. Not that it was weird or anything, since it was a fake. Nice. Better than I expected. Yeah, it'll take someone with a good eye to spot the differences in all our counterfeits. But I can't believe you were able to get your hands on these, Strang. I have a few connections with artists, Glenn. How are things with you? I've got a path to sneak into the mansion as well as an escape route, in case something goes wrong. Glenn gave a sour look as he answered. But are we really going through with this? The guy's an imperial aristocrat. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's a bit late for that, Glenn. Remember, our target exploited his subjects, right? Well, yeah, but... Come on, it's not like we're assassinating him. He's used dirty money to procure his needless collection of paintings, and we're just going to swap them out with Strong's pieces of art. I'm telling you, no one will notice. He's right, Glenn. The guy has no eye for art. We're going to offer them to someone who understands their true worth and distribute the payout to his people. Justice will be served. Justice. When you put it that way, I'm on board. As gullible as ever. You're right. I worry he'll be tricked by some nasty friends. Did you guys say something? Nothing. Wayne and Strang answered together, shaking their heads to the side. Nim appeared in the room. I've sealed the business deal. Our paintings will be ready to head west. All right, let's go and get the goods. The group began hauling the paintings out of the room one by one. Just as Wayne went for another, he turned around. What's wrong, Loa? You're spacing out. Wilhelmina had been completely motionless in a corner of the room. Her face twitched slightly after being called on. Just observing. Observing what? You. Wayne blinked and flashed a pompous smile. Guess you finally caught on that I'm hot stuff. Not at all. Oh, not in the least. You just had to say it twice, huh? Impossible. Is it really necessary to say it a third time? He yelled, kneading and stretching his own face. And I thought I was pretty good looking. His expression whined silently. Wilhelmina let out a heavy sigh. How should I say this? I guess I'm jealous that you seem to live without a care in the world. What, trying to pick a fight? Have you been trying to stir me up this entire time? It's not like that. I mean it. I envy you, she admitted in a melancholy way. Wayne observed her before giving her a small nod, as if in sympathy. All right, cool. See you. Hold it. She yanked his collar as he turned on his heel to walk away. I think this is the part where you hear me out. No way. I want absolutely nothing to do with your annoying mess. After all I've done to plan this exciting adventure to swap out an aristocrat's artwork, and you're still going to be as stingy? Hey now, listen up, Loa. Think of me as an idiot who sees himself as a special snowflake. You can mock me when I fall flat on my face, like, ha, serves you right. I'm the type of guy who will pass up anything that might create a problem for me, including listening to the woes of teenage girls. You shouldn't puff out your chest while you say that. Well, you have nothing to be ashamed of. Your spine becomes straighter, Wayne declared as he tossed his hair back with a dramatic flair, but Wilhelmina kept her hand firmly on the nape of his neck. Wayne helplessly continued. So you should go to Nanim for that. Yeah, Nanim, since you're both girls, it's probably better that way. It can't be Nanim. It has to be you. Why? Why not? Their gazes pierced each other for a moment. Wayne finally caved. Ugh, fine, I get it. Just spit it out already. I promised to grunt at the right intervals. It's about my family. Oh boy, here it is. Ranking at the top of the charts for most annoying problems of all time. Family issues, he choked. Wilhelmina glared at him, but this didn't bother Wayne in the slightest. Oh, let me guess. Your family is keeping you from doing great things because it's not proper for a lady and you're fed up with it, right? This startled Wilhelmina. How did you... She thought that he had somehow worked out she was actually the imperial princess, but he proved otherwise. You've got top grades at the academy, you don't act shy around the guys, and you stand your ground, plus a bunch of other stuff besides. It's easy enough to guess what's on your mind. That wasn't a simple matter at all. This confirmed her earlier suspicion that Wayne possessed a rare insight. If you plan on asking me for advice, I've prepared a joking answer and a real one. Which do you want? The real one, she said without hesitation, and Wayne obliged. Start a war. What? Wilhelmina blinked at his perplexing response. Wayne must have known that this reaction was coming. Listen up. This isn't about your family. Your problem is the culmination of the empire's, no, the continent's culture of misogyny, which it spent years trying to indoctrinate. I can't even imagine the weight and depth of it, Wayne went on, but it's a product made by and for the people, just like language and etiquette. It's nothing more than a local rule that applies to humans. I've never thought of it that way. She understood what he was saying. Compared to absolutes like aging and gravity, ideologies and cultures were nothing more than local rules. They could change according to the circumstances of a country or its people. In fact, they had a history of doing just that. Okay, but why would you think to suggest that I change it myself? Wilhelmina knew Wayne's true identity and that he had received an advanced education, but that could also be said about herself. And yet, unlike him, she hadn't been able to make a bold decision. It wasn't as if Wilhelmina was at fault, though. The majority held the same mindset she did. Wayne was the odd one out for thinking his solution was perfectly natural. For example, we all used to eat with our bare hands, but these days it's common sense to use a knife and fork. Why? Because someone way back when spread the word, and people made it part of the established culture. As a result, eating with your hands was eliminated. The same can happen with chauvinism. You're saying we can change by our own hands. Wayne gave an unwavering nod. There isn't anything inherently good or bad about ideas and beliefs. They're the same as strengths and weaknesses, like how weak people lose or powerless countries are destroyed. In the same way, shaky beliefs can be weeded out. That's why, Lilith, you want to reject a widespread idea, you can do nothing short of solidifying your ideas and starting a war. You say I should make them solid, but how? An idea is stronger when more people are backing it. Find others who are dissatisfied and become friends with them. Name and give a voice to your goals to spread the word, making an emotional appeal to gain sympathy from the masses. Take advantage of your eloquence to win over intellectuals. Wayne answered so smoothly that Wilhelmina couldn't help but shudder. Were they really the same age? He sounded like a wise man who'd been living for an eternity. Win the battle of wits and your ideas become right. Our cultural norms are strong enough to punch down any other beliefs. You've experienced it too. And they can stand firm against other ideologies because they're right. You have to usurp their place if you don't want to be crushed. You really have a way of casually stating the impossible. Wayne had given Wilhelmina more than enough information to sort through and digest. In fact, she was so overwhelmed she hadn't thought of an action plan. She understood that he was suggesting the road less traveled. Depending on the situation, your suggestion will end my death. But if you do nothing, you'll be giving in to society, the death of your soul. Doesn't it help to think that way? Die physically or psychologically. The choice is up to you. That doesn't help at all, Wilhelmina lamented, sighing and shaking her head. Wayne was saying the absurd. This just wasn't practical. On the other hand, her heart did feel lighter for some reason. Even if it wasn't realistic, there was now a path toward confronting the wall that was blocking her. It transformed her beliefs to learn of its existence. Hey, Wayne. It surprised her to hear the gentleness and hope in her voice. If I choose to fight, would you support me? What? No way. Wilhelmina punted Wayne in the shin. Ow, damn, what was that for? This is, normally, where you would nod. Don't be stupid. I've got stuff to do, too. And what could that possibly be? I've got lots on my plate. Lots. Well, to tell you the truth, they're all pains in the ass. There's a good chance I'll bail halfway, and then give up now and help me. Aren't you the one talking nonsense? That makes two of us. They continued to yell at each other for some time as the argument unraveled. When their heads finally cooled off, Wilhelmina heaved a big sigh. Okay, you're right. This is my problem. I should be the one to take care of it. When she thought about it, it'd been shameless of her to demand help on top of asking for advice. Not to mention, Wayne was the crown prince of Natra, which he didn't know that she knew. When she considered his position, it was obvious there was no way he could have accepted. Lowell Mina reflected on her foolishness. Thank you, Wayne. I found my goal. Thanks to you. I have a lot to think about. Glad to hear. I'm rooting for you. Wayne replied as Lowell Mina bowed deeply. Ninim's voice rang from outside the room. Wayne, Loa, what are you doing? We're ready to go. Whoops. Guess we got caught up in conversation. Seems that way. Let's go, Wayne. The two exited the room and went down the hallway together. After they'd been walking for some time, Wayne spoke up with hesitation. Well, Loa, what is it? If you need my help, I guess you could get me involved in your mess if you want. Lowell Mina stopped without thinking, but Wayne walked on as if nothing had happened. In a flustered state, she rushed to catch up to him. You'd be willing to get wrapped up in this? She asked, with a dim hope. Nope, I'd avoid it at all costs. Curse this man, she thought, after seeing her dreams dashed. But then Wayne clarified his true intentions. Go ahead and work hard to get me mixed up in it. If I can't escape, well, I'd probably end up lending a hand or two. She didn't break stride this time. Keeping in step with Wayne, she spoke quietly after a long pause. You're a strange one, Wayne. You're the last person I want to hear that from. Well, let's just say you're one and the same. As Lowell Mina chuckled to herself, her mirth soon spread to Wayne, and the two continued walking together toward where their friends waited for them.